Bear Valley Music Festival's Homegrown Indie Show featured 3 acts this year. One of the acts, it was Grover Anderson, who is here with me today. I'm Jason Currier with the Calaveras Enterprise and Sierra Lodestar. Thank you, Grover, for joining us here today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So we'll just start with the Homegrown Indie Show.
Cool, yeah.
Great turnout, great show.
I had a blast. That was so much fun.
Yeah, it was a really fun show. You said right before we started this that you had like a little change up on how the show was going to be structured, and so you had to do a little bit of maneuvering.
It was a fun time. It was pretty doable. Nothing too crazy. The funnest part was getting together with Nate, Nathan, and Mariel to work on a cover for the end, because at first I was texting Nate saying like, hey, what songs do we know and we share? And then you do that thing where you send 3 emails back and forth,
right,
and someone forgets to hit reply all, and then it's a big hot mess. So then I think Nate had the good idea, just let's get on a Zoom and figure this out.
Oh, there you go.
Which led to us on a random morning scrolling Zoom. They're on Zoom, but scrolling like just popular songs. I'm like, what song do we all know and can we all like pull off? And it was ridiculous. We're all just sitting there annoyingly strumming our different instruments, and Nate's like humming on the, and then we settled it, and then we got a quick rehearsal in. Rehearsals are helpful,
right?
And
especially when all 3 of you are going to be on stage like you close the show out with.
And when you've got a moment like that, and you're like, maybe someone will record it, and then actually my wife got a really good video of like the whole thing front to back.
Oh,
and
no kidding.
We didn't embarrass ourselves, which is always a plus.
Nice.
I was like, all right, cool.
It's a
it
great
exists. yeah, just the little stuff.
That's excellent. And you normally play fairly locally?
Well, I get out when I can. The farthest I've gone this year is Oregon.
Oh, wow.
Last fall we played at the Sag Harbor Music Festival in New York.
Wow.
And then shows come. We definitely have local shows coming up, including like a ton next week. I was looking at my calendar. I was like, I made some mistakes in booking.
Is that right?
I'm very busy next week. Yeah.
But
then we'll be, the week after we'll be up in Placerville, and then in September we get to go down to Mill Pond Music Festival in Bishop.
Wow.
So I try and travel when I can, but when I'm not traveling, I like playing here.
Yeah. This is home base, right?
Yeah, at Murphy's. Yeah.
Murphy's. Right. Yeah. Excellent.
Pretty nice.
And so I've always been fascinated with. I like music. A lot of people like music. That leap from being able to sing, being able to play, to I'm going to perform in front of people. I'm going to write my own songs. Was there something that kind of inspired you to make that leap? Was there an artist that you kind of glommed onto to? Well,
I think an important thing is that everything that I'm doing now is in service of songwriting. I love performing. I playing with Nate and Mariel at Bear Valley, I was cracking up. I was like, look, we know who the weak link singing wise is here. Like, you guys have amazing voices, and I'm serving my lyrics, and that is best I can.
You did an excellent job.
But thank you. But no, I started, when I was a kid, I think I got written up in the Enterprise once for playing locally, singing to karaoke tapes and stuff. And I loved the idea of performing, and I kind of backed up. I actually in high school switched over to theater and stuck with theater through college, and I really loved that aspect of it. But I think just variety of what ways do I best express myself, and I kind of settled into songwriting pretty quickly once I started doing it.
Right.
And I really just fall in love. You can be autobiographical, you can do, absurd storytelling stuff, you can just write the weirdest stuff imaginable, and I quite enjoy that. There's a lot of freedom, and certainly you live in a genre most of the time, but even within that genre, there's a lot of directions you can go. That's kind of why I like folk music so much and country music.
Yeah.
And so as I start writing, I go, well, I'd better be a better guitar player than I am than the I need to know more than the chords to Wonderwall,
right?
And
gonna have to expand a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. And so from there you start learning, well, what works, what do I like, and you work with really talented musicians like I'm fortunate to do, and it just kind of all eventually starts coming together. But yeah, for me it's all songwriting. Is the priority, and then because I'm, especially in today's music environment, you can write songs all you want, But if they're not, presented either in a live show or recording, then you're just writing a journal, and which is fine. Right. There's nothing wrong with that. But in order to get the songs to a place where you can record them and get them out there, you need to play them, and you need to play them with other musicians who know what they're doing. And so through that, you develop a musical community, you develop a band, and if you're working all this time to arrange songs and working with people who want to support you and making those songs sound good, well, it turns out performing is really fun too. Right. And that tends to be where you can get more exposure. Most of the times that my songs get out there, I find, is because they've seen me live and then they dig deeper. Right. So all kind of it all serves itself in that delightful little cyclical nature that art creates.
You have such a great connection to your audience too, it's not only just the storytelling; it's the actual your connection to the audience. Like mid-song, you had a line. It was her father said no, and right after a couple chords later, you said, I could always tell it's going to be a great show when the audience reacts to that.
On New Year's Eve, I held her tight and asked her to be my heart and life. On the 1st of 53, her daddy said no. And he sent her off to Massachusetts, some women's school. Later that year, the coal mine blew, and I went back to family in Sacramento. I always know it's going to be a good show when people laugh at that
line. It's always helpful to play to a friendly crowd, and that's about playing like Bear Valley Music Festival or so many of the shows we get to play around here is you can get away with more than you might on they're a stranger, and so I know I've got friends in that audience, but yeah, it is kind of nice. I've played that song locally, hundreds of times, and hearing someone out in the crowd laugh at a line that I thought was funny and kind of forgot could be funny, because I'm used to people taking it seriously. I was like, oh yes, all right, this is. I have a song called The Front Man, and there is a joke in it. It's sing your favorite line and someone cracks a smile and you're embarrassingly proud. It's not about that line that someone laughed at, but it's that same idea. It's, man, when people are listening, like. That means a lot. Right.
They're not just sitting there grooving. They're actually listening to you.
Yeah. It's nice to not be background music.
Right. Yeah. And does that come from just being on stage and being comfortable being on stage? Is that something that's just kind of natural that you have? How do you...
I mean, certainly a theater and performance background has a lot to do with that. I went to high school at Bret Hart, and I was taught by an amazing drama teacher, Dennis Brown, and then I went to college in Santa Barbara, and I studied performance down there as well. But
so you're very comfortable on the stage.
Yeah, I was doing plays as like a fourth grader at Michelson, and I like being in front of people. It's funny when I teach at Bret Hart, I teach theater, and I loathe any time as a teacher in a teacher capacity getting on stage. I senior night at the musical, I give out flowers to the kids doing their last show, and even that I've been accused. You really rush through that. You say their names, give them a hug, and move on. I'm like, yeah, I get that. Like being in front of people need met elsewhere, and I'm happy to let the students be in front at a thing like that. And I don't know what I would do if I'd go a little insane if I didn't get to try and work a crowd every weekend, because I really like doing it. It brings me joy.
That's very cool. I love that.
Yeah.
So the music scene and the scene outside of football and 4-H, when I grew up in the area too, went to Calaveras.
Cool.
And I was an artsy kid. And there just wasn't a whole lot of resources for kids like me. That it's now it seems like we've got theaters at both high schools. Yeah. It's just so much different now. But still, I feel like kids growing up in this area, the resources are a little bit thin as far as who they can emulate and reach out to and kind of help them along that journey. Do you have any kind of advice that you would give to a...
Yeah, what's tough is when you're dealing with the arts, it's got to be a good fit. And it's a fit for you as a kid, a teenager trying to figure that out and what works. I was really fortunate when I was a passionate theater person. Murphy's Creek Theater was going huge at Stephen O, and so I did like their Mirror project, and then from there I started playing small roles in their Shakespeare shows, and what that did to facilitate my love of theater and to foster it and grow, and there were bands when I was a kid around here, but I didn't pursue music. Partially because, like, what am I going to do? Like, where am I going to play that kind of stuff? And it wasn't really till I moved back after college, and all the wineries were downtown Murphy's, and I literally walked up and down Main Street Murphy's with burned CDs and said, "Will you let me play? Will you let me play?" Oh wow! And a few of them did. Stephen O and Tanner and Newsom Harlow, they invited me in, and I was like, oh, I'm so grateful. Wow. And that's where I actually kind of. I wasn't very good when I started. I remember playing it like. Do you remember Cactus Jacks?
I do.
We'd play in the corner there, and I was terrible, but they had me, and eventually I wasn't terrible,
Well, that's kind of part of the process.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly, and having a safe place to do it, and a safe, it was relatively low stakes, and it was really nice. But so seeking out those opportunities, and there are, what Beacon's doing with Murphy School of Music is really cool.
He's got a really good thing going up there.
Yeah, he does, and Nate at that Sound Temple, it's. To create a place like that, I'm very jealous, frankly.
It's a great resource.
And there are more that I'm embarrassed to be leaving out, but it's doing as much as you can. I certainly, as a teenager up here, tried stuff, and I did it once and I didn't like it, and I don't remember it because it wasn't that formative. But if you're trying as many things as you can, don't just do the high school theater program. Audition for a show outside. I had a student that was got a huge role at a show at the Met doing The Importance of Being Earnest. Oh, yeah. And this was a couple years ago, and I came down and saw her, and I was like, oh, this is great. We probably would never do The Importance of Being Earnest up at Bret Hart. Right. But she came and flourished down here, and I was like, yeah, you found another thing.
Right.
And
found a niche.
And having that curiosity, I realized like it's a tough age because a lot of kids don't. I got my license on my 16th birthday, and that's not as common.
Right. Same. Yeah.
But making yourself available, and there's other places to express now too. You don't have to perform locally. You can, there's a guy who was local, who's a couple years younger than me, and he used to work at Gold Country Roasters, and now he is a very well-known, successful electronic producer. Wow. And he lives in LA. And I remember when we had talked about like Spotify streams and how to get people to listen to you on Spotify stuff, and we just kind of talked as he was like handing me my coffee. And one day he was like, I think I finally got more Spotify streams than you. And I was like, what?
Finally passed you.
I was like, but you never perform. What are you talking about? And then I was like, oh yeah, you are exploring other avenues. Right. And he's doing quite well, and he definitely still has quite more Spotify streams than me, which is great. Yeah. Which is just fine. So there are so many roads you can take, and I, as a former young person, it's easy to say like, there's no opportunities, but just be open to them, or don't force it. I probably when I was first getting started playing songs or writing songs, probably put myself out there more than I needed to, and I didn't have the chops or the experience yet to put the best foot forward at the time. Right. I remember playing a music festival up north of Truckee, and they invited me because they saw me in an open mic or something, and I played. I didn't do a great job, and the next year I called them back, and they were really polite in their decline email. And I was like, yeah, it was probably too soon for me to say yes to a music festival back then, whereas to now I'm like, eating them up.
Love to do one. Right.
And so and we do. We have music festivals up here. Go if you want to play music, go to Hermit Fest, and the lineup's already set this year, but the person who books the lineup is going to be there, and he's going to be walking around to campsites at night. And if you're jamming somewhere, like people will talk about you. So all those creative places, just be there.
Just be there,
and who knows?
Yeah.
So
and. Creativity tends to be contagious too. So when you get around other people that are doing the same thing, then
and you will steal stuff, and that's important because stealing helps you learn and helps you integrate to create something new and original. Right. So it's huge to just immerse yourself. I'll never forget the experience I had out at Murphy's Creek Theater when it was in that theater at Stephen O. Just the stuff I learned that I still use today. Yeah. It was really cool.
When you were in like the early process of your path, was there like an aha moment where you're like, okay, I'm kind of starting to get this, or was it like a gradual thing that you just kind of gradually
I assume, it was definitely gradual for a long time, but it's gradual and gradual, and then it's all that gradual that leads to the aha moment, in 2014, in early 2014, like January, I drove around the country in January and February like an idiot. And I actually did like a nationwide tour.
Wow.
And most of the rooms were very small, and I definitely lost money. But it was just kind of being out there and be like, well, I guess I'm doing it. I guess I'm sleeping in, some church in northern Illinois, right, in the basement of a church that I played, a concert in that room. And you just kind of go, okay, I guess I'm a touring artist, right, now. And then you feel that the first week. And then by the fourth week, when you're driving, from Austin to Phoenix in that god-awful drive, mm-hmm, and you're going, no, I'm a tour, and all of a sudden you kind of own that. You're like, I'm 14 hours and I'm playing a show tonight.
Touring artist here.
And then I'm sleeping in a hotel next to a strip club that I didn't know when I booked it. And I'm, but that was not the cleanest hotel I've ever stayed in Phoenix, Arizona. Yeah, I slept very precariously that night.
One eye open.
Yeah.
So for folks that maybe they saw you out at the show, or maybe they've seen you elsewhere, and they want to find some more of you, how do people find you, like socials?
Best place, the thing I'm always updating is groveranderson.com. Yeah. Just the website. I keep the show always up to date, and I'm not as good at posting like blogs and updates, but if there's new music, it will be there. I've also been told that I need to have my lyrics more available. I sing fast sometimes, but so if you ever want to know what the heck I'm saying, every lyric to every song I've written is on my website.
Oh wow!
So if people want to know where I'm playing or whatever, they can go to groveranderson.com, where I have all my shows. I keep it nice and updated. I've got the lyrics to like every song I've ever written on there. And then I used to be all over a bunch of social media, but I've kind of pared it down. Now I'm just on like Instagram at I am Super Grover. Back in like 2008, I made my username. I thought it would be funny. It's like, I am Super Grover on Twitter when I was first joining, and then I made it all of them, and then foolishly other people swooped up at Grover Anderson, and so I'm dumb. But that was 100% my fault. But I am Super Grover is on Instagram and like TikTok, and I'm terrible at TikTok, but it's there.
Same. Yeah.
Those, and then you can see me. I'm playing a bunch this week. I'll be playing. We're doing Labor Day up at Camp Connell General Store.
Oh wow.
I've got a really cool show with my buddy Jimbo Scott at Steveno on August 8th. But I'm going to get in trouble for forgetting some, so I'm just going to say go to the website, and I've got a full calendar.
Awesome. Very cool. Thank you for joining us.
Oh my gosh, thanks for having me. Thanks for coming up to the Bear Valley Music Festival.
Yeah,
much
I had
fun.
A great time. It was a great show.
Thank you. I was really proud to be a part of that.
Yeah, you guys did a wonderful job.
Thanks. Yeah. I'm just such in awe of Nate.
Yeah.
That getting to play a show with him is always a treat.
Yeah, and that was his first time on stage for a few years.
No, I was very grateful to be adjacent to that.
Yeah.
It was cool.
This song's called Frontman. I'm driving 6 hours on a Saturday to play for 50 in a bar across the state. No one in the room will know you, but for 2 hours you'll sing louder than the forks hitting plates. Keep your expectations humble. Sing your favorite line and someone cracks a smile, then you're embarrassingly proud. Don't they know that you're the front man of the second biggest band in your small town? On the weekdays you teach high school and students troll you with your videos online. And you play at all the wineries, which really means you drink far too much wine. Oh, but man, do you feel special when a stranger wants to know when your next album's coming out. Just the perks of being frontman of the second biggest band in your small town. As you thank people for coming, someone grabs you by the hand and says, "Good job. You need to find a publisher, an agent, and a brand." And you smile and nod politely, pack up t-shirts and CDs, knowing full well that the only way to make it is to leave. But it's been one hell of a summer, made good money, and the guys all got along. Opened up for a famous classic rock band, minus the singer who wrote all of their songs. We love you, John Fogerty. And now people are asking, hey, is that the big break that carries your songs all the world around? And your answer's optimistic, but you're just the 30-something frontman of the second biggest band in your small town. You thank God for local radio and community that cares. When some tourist from the city says, hey, you're really putting yourself out there, have you thought about The Voice? Sometimes your dreams wander when you're up drinking alone, but really all you've ever wanted was this baby, wife, and home. And so you burden your odometer, load and unload gear more times than you can count. And you love being the front man of the second biggest band in your small town. And you finally made the Sierra Lodestar video stream. You're very excited. Thank you, Jason. I'm the 30-something dad bod rockin' acoustic guitar playing eponymous frontman of the second biggest non-cover band in my small town.
That is excellent. You are a great songwriter.
Thank you very much. Should I do one more just in case that
Yeah,
one sucked?
one more.
Okay, great.
Sure. I'll give them two.
This song's called Heart, spelled H-A-R-T, because I'm pretentious. It sounds like the coyotes took down another heart from the yips and yelps out just beyond the garden. Their second one since June, their cries are coming through closed windows and air conditioning. And we tell the children it'll all be over soon. I double check the gate and bring the dog in. When you and her and me caught one running up the street, I held you while the stars stood listening. And then we open up the windows, let the night in. Pray the hunt is finished for some time. Whatever's lurking just beyond the garden couldn't wrest your hopes from mine. It looks like the lightning just sparked another fire, so we gather all the things supposed to matter. By now we're well prepared, photo albums, teddy bears. And we tell the children to double check their rooms, say home is where the heart is, but it just makes them sadder. And then we cover up the windows through the crying, pray the heat will hold out for the night. Whatever's lurking just beyond the garden couldn't wrest your hopes from mine. Whatever's lurking just beyond the garden couldn't wrest your hopes from mine. It sounds like the coyotes took down another heart. Thank you.
Pretty song. Pretty.
Thank you.
Excellent. Cool. Thank you very much for doing that.
Thank
really,
you.
Really
That's a
appreciate
treat. I'm very grateful.
Calaveras Enterprise for all the where's and why's and who's and how's and when's and what you need. In Calaveras County, when you want the lowdown, yeah, the Enterprise is what you want to read to get all the local politics, weather, sports, cops, criminals, and courts, and other sorts of Calaveras news. get the Calaveras Enterprise delivered to you.
754